The little bright girl with mesmerizing eyes, born and bred in an average British family, left home when she was only 16 and never returned. Society turned Joanna Dennehy into a monstrous serial killer in just a matter of 17 years, when she was arrested by the Peterborough police and pleaded guilty for 3 murders, as police investigations revealed that she had attempted to kill 9 men in total. Joanna is just one among thousands of British females committing violent crimes. As ordinary offences and violent crimes are on the rise in British society, the new phenomenon has already alarmed social observers. Teenage girls and young women are now playing a central role in many premeditated murder crimes. Newly released data indicate a 73% rise in knife possession by British women and girls. According to police data, there were 1,509 recorded knife-related offences by women just in England in 2018. Overall, police figures show there were more than 5,800 recorded knife possession crimes by women and girls between 2014 and 2018. In simple terms, there has been a 10% increase year-on-year since 2014 in recorded female knife possession offences. Among English female criminals, a quarter of the criminals are aged 18 or younger. Social observers point to 2 factors pushing English young girls and women into carrying a knife or subsequently using it against others. As a primary driver to the nasty social phenomenon, the rise in knife possession by women and girls is directly linked to gang culture and the peer pressure employed by gangs to trap girls into crime. Girls are useful to gangs as they are less likely to be stopped and searched by the police. Female criminals' ability to evade the police is a key motivating factor for gangs to use them as couriers for knives, guns, and drugs.
Women have been involved in crime for a long time, but what we're seeing now, apparently, is an increasing use of young girls as well as young boys, teenage girls as well as teenage boys, by gangs to do their dirty work, to act as their foot soldiers. I would say perhaps it's also a case of changing social attitudes, whereas before it was considered essentially taboo for women to, not only for men to hit women, but for women to fight, and those attitudes perhaps are changing more and more.
In London alone, there are said to be over 250 criminal street gangs. Thousands of girls and young women are associated with these gangs, but at present, local authorities do not collect specific data on the number of so-called gangster girls in Britain. Add to this the fact that most girl gangsters are under police radar. The Metropolitan Police Service's Gang Matrix database lists 3,000 male gang members known to the authorities in London, compared to just 18 female gang members.
Well, there was a case last week where 2 men went to prison. They were convicted and sent to prison for recruiting 2 17-year-old girls from London in what they call a county limes operation, where they were sent to another city, in this case to Bridgend in Wales, which is about 160 miles from London. And there they were set up in a house. They were 17-year-old girls, old enough to be living away from their parents, but if you're not working, you should be still at school. That's the law until you're 18. And they were delivering drugs to customers and collecting the money for these men. And this is considered to be quite a common occurrence.
Abuse and violence against women are also playing a key role in the rise of violent females across Britain. According to official statistics, just in 2017, 139 British women were killed as a result of male violence towards them. Figures also show that 20% of women in Britain have experienced some type of sexual assault since the age of 16, equivalent to 3.4 million female citizens. The victims are also let down by the British justice system. And conviction rates for rape are far lower than other crimes, with only 5.7% of reported rape cases ending in a conviction for the perpetrator.
Justice system is falling down. What we've seen is the closure of many courts across Britain. So justice is not seen as a priority, even though the politicians talk about it. They're simply not putting the money behind it. Of course, this suits organised crime. They love this. They know that it's becoming more and more difficult to deal with organised crime and that the police are fighting a losing battle. This is a great moral boost for the criminals, and it's actually very demoralising for the police and for victims of crime.
An ever-growing sense of the need to carry a knife for self-defense among young British females is now well documented by the NGOs.
They know the risks, but they're willing to take those risks despite the penalties, because they think, well, being armed and alive and stabbing someone and being alive, or shooting someone and being alive, is better, and take the risk of getting a sentence. And that is really some of the critical issues. Some people are numb to these issues as well. They see it a lot of the times on social media, they see it on the streets, they go to funerals, they're internalizing these emotions, and as a result of that, they don't really understand just general things about assessing risk. You or myself might see someone approaching us and think nothing of it in our own dynamic risk assessment, but a person who's traumatized assess risk totally differently, and as a result of that, they might feel in fear, they either flight or fight. Invariably, they fight and they strike first.
All these come as teenage boys' knife crimes have also reached a worrying level. According to an official estimate from the Home Office, there are more than 17,500 boys aged 14 who carry a knife or weapon in England and Wales. The study published by the Home Office found about a third of those arming themselves had had weapons used against them.
If you have any issues on the street, how do you sort it out?
Dip him.
Huh?
Dip him in his chest.
You dip him in his chest?
Yeah.
Which means, like, stab him in his chest?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that before?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what to do if you have to do it?
Yeah.
Is this the same with your friends? You'll kind of all know what to do if it happens?
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. All right, thank you for talking to me, ma'am. Listen, man.
The murder toll in London reached 134 last year. In 2017 to 18, there were 137 knife offences for every 100,000 people in the capital.
I think what we're seeing in the recent upsurge of violence here in the capital is the culmination of 40 to 50 years of malign neglect by politicians who've allowed areas like Brixton and Toxteth and Stockwell and Moss Side and other areas throughout the country to rot with 40, 50, 60% black youth unemployment, not just for a brief period of time, but over the last 40 or 50 years.
According to official statistics issued by the Metropolitan Police, there were 1,299 stabbings in London alone up to the end of April. This means that knife crime surged by 16% in the capital year on year till 2018.
Like on the news, you're seeing almost every day there's someone being stabbed or there's young children carrying a knife, and I don't think that's something that younger children, like primary kids, should even be seeing.
On April the 29th, it was reported that schools will be forced to install knife arches because of the rampant knife crime epidemic.
I think a real problem with the police also being weak, generally weak, undermined, often from the top, with very senior police, superintendents, even chief constables, only paying lip service to dealing with organised crime.